What's going on, everybody? Another episode of Dame Calls Game. I'm here with my guy Isaiah Dean. Um, you'll see him around every so often. Hopefully, he does become a co-host and can help me out. Um, as we all know, the NBA playoffs have been going on, and the finals have started tonight. Um, End of the first quarter just happened, and I know I'm late. It's Wednesday, not our normal Monday nights at 8:30. Um, but Monday night I was busy at work. Something happened late and I couldn't make the show, so I postponed it. Um, and I figured that tonight would be the best night to go live. First night of the NBA Finals. But me and Isaiah are pretty much here. We're gonna cover the
Mhm.
semifinals since last show on Monday. There were 6 games that happened, and now obviously tonight is the start of the biggest series in the playoffs.
Mhm.
Um, so that first game after last week, it was Game 3, Lakers versus Nuggets. It was the one game that the Nuggets did win in that series.
Mhm.
Nuggets won 114 to 106. Um, they were led by good old Jamal Murray once again. Not far behind him was Jeremy Grant though with 26 points. Jamal Murray had 28, and then Joker had 22 points. Isaiah, what'd you think of that game? What was the thing that made the difference for the Nuggets in that game 3?
They honestly like I said they control they control LeBron and AD. Like it's not really controlling them. It's like more of just like containing them, like letting them do what they're gonna do, but still like you control the outcome of how the game is, control the flow. Like they hit shots they needed to. Jeremy Grant, Michael Porter Jr. when he hit that shot in what's it called, Kyle Kuzma's face. Like stuff was falling for them that night that it was just felt comfortable for them. You saw like a glimpse of it. You thought they were going to ride it the rest of the way of the series, but
Yeah,
it's still at the end of the day it's LeBron James, and he's like he's
yeah,
not gonna let that slip out of his hands. He's one of the greatest of all time. You know what I mean?
yeah, for sure. But as you were saying, they kind of controlled the flow. They definitely didn't shut down LeBron for any
Hmm.
meaning of the words. LeBron had gone for 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 11 assists. Um,
Hmm.
so, I mean, LeBron had his share. Anthony Davis had put up 27
Hmm.
points, but he only had 2 rebounds, and that is an anomaly. Um, Anthony Davis with 2 rebounds is almost something that you would never even put money on. I don't think anybody would risk their money on that. He only had 1 assist, 1 steal, no blocks. LeBron had 2. So, I mean, the Nuggets really, like you said, they controlled the pace of that game and they ended up pulling it out by 8 points.
Hmm.
Um, so they decided they wanted to try and make that series interesting, at least instead of just getting swept straight up.
Hmm.
The greatest to make that correction.
Hmm.
True. um, then moving on to the next day, it was Miami Heat versus Boston Celtics game 4. Um, the Miami Heat ended up winning by 3 points, 112 to 109. Uh, I mean, if anybody thought this series was going to be a straight sweep, I don't know what they were thinking. Um, I don't know what I want to say this. And I made it 3-1, I think. Um, the Miami Heat were led by good old Jimmy Butler with no, actually, don't let me lie to you. They were led by Tyler Hero with 37 points that night. That was the night that Tyler Hero
That
blew up.
was a game to watch, bro.
Yeah,
Bro, I don't know, bro. I don't know what he just did that morning. Like he just woke up and just hit starts like I'm going to score, and that's just he's like they're not going to stop me no matter what I do. And honestly, like I don't know. I think that woke a lot of people. That performance honestly woke a lot of people up. Like if people weren't like awake about him, like that might have been like okay, like they went
yeah,
from like that they went for everyone went like from having questions about the Miami Heat. As soon as that game happened, Tyler Hero dropped 37. Everyone's like, okay, they're winning this series. There's no way that like there was like everyone's like there is no way they're losing this series if he can drop 37 in one night. They're just gonna roll through the Celtics. That was like kind of like an answer you needed because at that time you had Bam, you
yeah,
had Jimmy. You had Goran on some nights. You know, he wasn't like every night, but like he's been performing on some nights. But
Oh yeah.
you just needed that one person that's like, hey, like, can someone help us if like it's our backs against the wall and Jimmy maybe Bam's in foul trouble. Jimmy's not playing. Up to what Jimmy need. Playoff Jimmy and like
Yeah.
you do have someone to like who's going to hit shots. Like Duncan Robinson can hit the threes, but he's not going to take over a game.
Right. I mean, like you said, Tyler Hero had himself a performance, and if people weren't aware of what he could do, that was definitely the game that made them aware. Um, it, I mean, I said it from the beginning of that series. Miami was gonna be the team to beat because their roster is so freaking
Mm-hmm.
deep. Like, don't get me wrong, the Celtics, they've got a lineup from top to bottom, but it is nothing like Miami Heat's top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they've got some veterans that are very serviceable veterans, and obviously you've seen it because Goran Dragic has had his nights where he looks like he's the leader of that team, but then Jimmy Butler comes out and he shows on certain nights that he's the leader of that team.
Mm-hmm.
And even Andre Iguodala, when he's playing, it's not like he scores the most amount of points, but you can tell that he is a veteran presence when
He
he's
put
there.
his impact like just being there.
Um, so yeah, Miami ended up pulling that one out. They were led by Tyler Hero. Jimmy Butler had 24. Goran Dragic, the ageless one, had 22. Um, Bam Adebayo had 20. Like, that's what I'm talking about with that
Mm-hmm.
team. They've got four people over 20 points. And then behind them, 3 points, 3 points, 3 points, and zero. Like, literally nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Duncan Robinson that game didn't even hit a single shot in the game. He made all his 3 points off of free
Mm-hmm.
throws. Um, so I don't even know how to argue against it. Like, that night, it seemed like every single ball that came out of Tyler Hero's hands, whether it be an assist or a shot for himself, it seemed like it went in that night.
Mm-hmm.
And as close as Boston made it, it just wasn't enough, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Um, moving on to the next game, it was game 4 of the Lakers Nuggets series.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this time around, Anthony Davis decides to be Anthony Davis. He put up 34 points. He still didn't have the amount of rebounds you would expect. He only had 5. Um, but that 34 points was dominant. He shot 10 of 15 from the floor, 1 of 3 from behind the line, and 13 free throws out of 14 attempts. Um, so he definitely didn't have anything short of a game. Jamal Murray, on the other hand, for the Denver Nuggets, put up 32 points. But after that, there was really nobody to be seen for his help. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah, what went wrong that game for the Nuggets?
Honestly, it's just like I think that towards the end of that game, the Lakers were just like foul, like they were doing like this slow, like they were getting to line a lot. So like Jokic was picking up a lot of foul trouble. So Jokic, honestly, during that game, really wasn't like towards the end of it when you really needed him, he wasn't on the floor a lot because he was in foul trouble most of the game, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Because so whenever you figure that out, like you saw like it was like, all right, so Jokic is not on the floor, so like you had to put Plumlee in there. Like Plumlee, great defensively, but they ain't gonna do the same thing as Jokic on the offensive side. You know what I
Right.
mean? And then whenever like so then you had Jamal Murray who was like trying to do as much as he can, just being the guy like this since Jokic ain't on the floor, but then you realize that like what's it called? He only could do so much against like LeBron and AD, and then they could
Yeah.
really get to control the tempo because if you think about Jokic, just not down there, so like AD is collecting more of the boards than on the offensive defensive side rather than any of the Nuggets. So whenever that starts coming into their favor, they start to honestly swift the tide and honestly can control how the game comes, and that's honestly what they just rode into. The Lakers just rode the free throw line into the game. They
Yeah.
played good. They played hard. At the end of it, Lakers are, it's always going to be the Lakers sometimes.
The other big thing that made a difference, like you said, was fouls. The rebound difference. Lakers had 41 total rebounds, and the Nuggets only had 33.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the turnover difference also. The Lakers had 9 steals, and 9 turnovers. So they gave the ball up 9 times, but had 9 steals.
Mm-hmm.
The Nuggets, however, only had 4 steals, and they gave the ball up 11 times. So I feel like 2 more turnovers with 5 less steals, it gives the Lakers more opportunity for fast break points or
Mm-hmm.
point
They got easy buckets. They got fouled a lot. They were basically hitting a lot of high percentage shots, like you said. Like people always say in a game of basketball, if I doesn't matter how many threes you can hit, because you're eventually going to start missing, just because of the
Mhm.
percentage of the shot. If I can hit 80% of two pointers within like that close to the rim, like you're not going to beat me. I don't care how many threes you hit.
Yeah. And that actually segments me into the next game perfectly. Um, this game 5 of the Celtics and Heat series. Um, before we get to game 6, obviously it is game 5. The Celtics had won 121 to 108, led by none other than Jason Tatum with 31 points. Behind him was Jaylen Brown, the perfect Batman Superman combo, because I can't call them Batman and Robin because any given night
Mm-hmm.
the other one is the leader of that team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, both of them had insane nights. Jaylen Brown shot over 50%. Obviously, Jason Tatum didn't shoot that well. He shot 8 of 22, but he had 12 of 14 on his free throws. Um, I'm pretty sure this was the game that he went 0 and 6 before hitting a shot. He had 3 points going into halftime and then had 28
Mm-hmm.
points in the second
That's
half.
bro. Do you know what the craziest story is that reminds me of? So since I'm a Duke fan, I found this out, man. So coach, so again, so if you ever look up Jason Tatum's game at UVA whenever they came back, his
Hmm.
freshman year at Duke. So whenever so going into halftime, Jason Tatum only had 2 points in out of the first half.
Hmm.
So Coach K walks up to him and calls him a soft ass St. Louis kid. And then I swear after that he drops 28 points in the next half, bro. Like he literally walked up to him, called him a soft ass St. Louis kid, and then he went off after that.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to if you're having a poor game and your coach calls you out, but
Hmm.
you can tell it's for motivational purposes.
Yeah,
You've got no reason not to turn around and blow up.
yeah.
For the Heat that night, though, Goran Dragic once again 23-point performance.
Hmm.
This time behind him it was Duncan Robinson with 20 points. He shot 3 of 11 from behind the line, which is not usual for Duncan Robinson. He's
Hmm.
more effective than that. But he shot 50, more than 50, or no, just under 50%, sorry, from the
Hmm.
floor, 7 of 15. Um, but that night, it just seemed like, here, hold on. From 3, the Celtics shot 31% from the 3-point line as a team and 45% from the floor as a team in comparison to 19% for the Heat but from 3, but they shot 45% as well from the floor. So that 3-point differential, like,
Kind of helped them.
yeah, then you move on into game 6. I'm going to skip this game 5 of the Lakers series for this because I need to
Hmm.
mention this about the Celtics. Um, it seems like they're willing to live and die by the 3-pointer.
Hmm.
Like this game 6, they lost 125 to 113. Bam Adebayo had 32 points. This time he was the
Yeah, he
leading
ate that
scorer in the
game,
game,
bro.
and he had a game of his career to this point at least, because obviously he's still a
Hmm.
young player. He shot 11 of 15 from the floor. He didn't shoot a 3 because he's not a 3-point shooter really. He's more effective from mid-range in.
Mm.
And he went 10 of 11 from the free throw line. He had 14 total rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, only had 2 turnovers.
Hmm. Did you
And
see they were letting him play point guard too? He was like
yeah,
dribbling up the court. That was
no,
actually He actually like I don't know what he but at first like you're trying to figure out what he was trying to do. At first he was trying to figure out what he was trying to do. He fumbled it a little bit, but then
yeah,
once he got the hang of it, he was actually honestly going off for a little bit on time taking it up.
yeah. They had the announcers at least had been saying it for a while now that Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler both kind of like run the point guard for that team every so often. And you'll
Hmm.
see them bring the ball up and like be the general of the floor at the time. It just
Mm-hmm.
depends on who the play runs through. For the Celtics that game though, they had 4 players over 20 points. Jason Tatum had 24, Kemba had 20, Marcus Smart had 20, and Jaylen Brown had 20. Gordon Hayward had 12, but I mean, Gordon Hayward really isn't all that he's been paid to
Yeah.
be. Um, After that, Daniel Tice, I guess he didn't really get the ball that much. He only shot three. He only had 3 shot attempts and made 2 of them. He had 6 points. He also had 2 of 2 from the free throw line. So I feel like he was just kind of forgotten about. And that's what I mean by they're willing to live and die by the 3 ball.
Mm-hmm.
They never even looked at the big man.
Mm-mm.
Um, so that was the series. The Heat win. They move on to the finals, and obviously, like I said, they're in it. Finals are going on. So now the Heat, uh, they are meeting the Lakers, and I did skip over this game 5 on purpose because we were talking about the Celtics and their 3 point. Um, but this Lakers game 5 against the Nuggets, they pulled the series out. Gentlemen swept them. LeBron and AD let the Nuggets win that one game.
Mm-hmm.
They come in and win this game 117 to 107. The Nuggets are led by Jeremy Grant, Nikola Jokic, and Jamal Murray. What else is new? Surprise, surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Grant and Joker both had 20 points. Jamal Murray only had 19, which is a little odd. I guess he did have his little fall off games, but what was the difference maker for this game, Isaiah? I mean, obviously LeBron had his game, so outside of him being LeBron, what made the difference?
Honestly, like it's just like the fun. It was just kind of like towards the end of this game. It was kind of like I said, going the Lakers' way. It's kind of like the final. It was kind of like the final icing on the cake. Honestly, I would say it was just like I said, towards the end of it, the tide is turned. Your Jokic again gets deep into foul trouble, and then you start to realize like again they're not. Whenever he's off the floor, they're starting to become a little bit more vulnerable. Like as I said, like when Joker's on the floor, because he had 5 fouls this game again, just like last one. So whenever you take him off the floor and add like a different like they're not like really as like they're scary, but like you can start trying to pick their weaknesses. Honestly, once you start
Yeah.
to realize like once you start to realize them out.
Yeah. The one thing that made a huge difference this game, I'm just now seeing it. The shooting percentages from team to team. The Nuggets shot 42.2% from the floor, 26.7 from three, and 88.5% from the free throw line.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go
Also,
over, and I'll
again, the
go
Lakers
back.
were hitting threes.
The Lakers shot 82.8%, which is significantly lower than
Mm-hmm.
88% from the free throw line. But then it's the complete opposite amount for the 3 point line, and the free field goals. Sorry, they shot 37.5% from three, which is
Mm-hmm.
insane as a team. Like,
They're honestly towards the end of I think they started to be like, we're just gonna beat you, and we're just gonna let you know they're not gonna win this game.
yeah, they're
That this is
hitting more
over.
than one
Like
in every
this
three shot.
three, I think this is kind of like to let them know like this 3-1 is not happening again.
No,
Like this is this is not like we're LeBron James. We don't let 3-1. We don't do that.
yeah, LeBron James will be the only one to make that 3-1 famous, even though the Nuggets did do it twice in a row in 2 different series.
Yeah,
But like I said, from the floor, the Lakers as a team shot 54.5%.
4%.
So it's pretty much impossible to beat any team if they shoot more than
Yeah, they're
50%
not
from the
like
floor, and you're letting the
yeah.
Lakers do it. So
Honestly,
you're in trouble. So obviously, like I said, Lakers Heat, they both win their series. They move on to the finals. Um, so we'll go on to different like trending topics in the league. Um, Again, Tyler Hero had his career night as a rookie, freaking playoff game. Um, John Calipari's got a couple players that are now in the finals for one team. He's got Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo playing with the Heat.
AD and Rondo, I think was the other two.
AD, yep. Danny Green was a North Carolina boy.
No, it's AD and Rondo.
Yeah. But yeah, so we even forgot to mention the freaking circus layup. Jamal Murray had his Michael Jordan reincarnation.
Oh, yeah, bro,
He went up like he was about to dunk, and then just kind of scooped his way around LeBron's body.
Yeah, he made that work. Honestly, I thought he was gonna miss.
What else happened? Klay Thompson decided to come back and have his first full practice since he tore his ACL.
I also saw a video he dunked too.
Klay Thompson?
Yep, he dunked. It was on Instagram, I believe so.
Doc Rivers was fired.
Not surprised.
He's no longer the coach of the Clippers. Neither of us are surprised. I don't know if anybody is surprised, really. Losing that series, and you're supposed to be the best team in the league. Losing it, being up 3-1 to the 5th seed, I think the Nuggets were. It's not looking pretty for you, and obviously everything gets blamed on the coach. So away with you. It comes out to say that there was a chance that Kawhi and Paul George could have defended him, and they were absolutely silent and let him get fired. I don't know how true it is, but if that's true, that's kind of pitiful coming from 2-star players, and you want a players coach.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows that really? Who honestly knows what the agreement came down to? Whether it was players or whether it was management, or whether Same thing with Houston. The same thing with Indiana. Like honestly, like you didn't know if it came players or like whatever. They just got to like you don't. People after you like I don't know. I feel like after blowing a 3-1 lead, you have some type of salty bitterness inside of you that kind of will stick with you, whatever. And whether it's frustration, whatever. And you're probably going to take 9 times out of 10. You're probably going to take it. You want to take it out on somebody. So probably it's going to be the players taking out on the coach, and then they're like, "Yo, we got to get rid of this dude because there's no way we should let that happen." You know what I mean? And like they're angry, so they're going to find someone to blame. And of course, always 9 times out of 10, it ends up going back to the coach.
Yeah. So now that we've made it to the finals, for those of you that are watching the finals on the TV and our show, I'll have you say your predictions, who wins, who gets NBA Finals MVP, and what makes the difference. Obviously, MVP is the person who makes the most impact, but what exactly gives that one team that you think is going to win the edge?
I have to go Lakers, and I'll probably have to say 6.
Okay.
Lakers in 6. Only because it's LeBron. I feel like this is something, I don't know, like something is inside, like that stare he had, like honestly, like I don't know if that was like an eye and a tiger moment or something, like, but I saw something in him that like you see like that, like I don't know whether it was like this Kobe eye glow or something, but that was like something like a Kobe moment. That was like this is focus. Like I'm not worried about nothing else. I'm worried about winning. So I feel like it's going to be LeBron. LeBron James is going to be LeBron James at the end of the day. There's nothing in Miami he's going to stop because LeBron's going to be the greatest. He's going to prove to us why. This is going to be a statement finals. He's going to win his 4th one. I'll give him credit for that. Like LeBron. And AD is going to help out. I think it might end up being. I hope it's LeBron getting Finals MVP, but I feel like it's probably going to be AD.
Right. I mostly agree with you. I think it will be Lakers in 6. I know last week I did say that the Heat look unbeatable in a series. Obviously, they are unbeatable in a series. They haven't lost one since they're in the finals. I think I'm going to give the edge for Finals MVP to Anthony Davis if the Lakers pull it out. Just because he truly does so much. And I know LeBron does his 38-point triple-doubles, his 30-point triple-doubles. But Anthony Davis's presence just as an overall player, it really, really helps LeBron. It eases things off of him, and a lot of teams now are like focusing that double team onto AD. And if the Lakers end up pulling it out, I think it will because of him. But on the other hand, because I'm so reluctant to say that the Heat will lose a series because they look so good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if they win, I honestly think it'll be Miami in 5. And I know that
That's
that's weird.
that's. I don't know if Courtney's listening. I don't know what he would say if you heard that, my man.
I mean, it like they just look so good. And outside of LeBron and AD, you fall off so tremendously in terms of talent. Like you go from LeBron to Anthony Davis to Kyle Kuzma. And I know Kyle Kuzma is a really good player, but he's just not to the level of player that they need for that third person, if you know what I mean.
hmm
Like obviously Jimmy Butler's not in the same skill level as LeBron.
hmm
Bam is pretty freaking close to Anthony Davis. He's just not a three-point shooter really. But I would say that if it's a battle of big men and they put Anthony Davis in the paint against Bam,
hmm
I think Adebayo will be able to bully him just enough to get his numbers.
hmm
And then you've got Goran Dragic putting up his 23
hmm
points a game. You've
hmm
got Duncan Robinson being effective as all hell if he gets the ball on the wing. You've got Tyler Hero, who on any given night can obviously drop 37 points and
hmm
look unstoppable. And the Lakers just don't have a player like that. They've obviously got KCP who can hit the three, but I feel like he's too streaky to be as effective
hmm
as the Duncan Robinson or the Tyler Hero.
I honestly respect. I respect your thing. I honestly think that possibly could happen. I understand. Like I think it's going to be Lakers in 6, but I can see like if the Heat like win, I could see. I can also see the Heat winning possibly too.
Yeah. And then obviously if the Heat do win, it's going to be tough to say who gets the Finals MVP because you're looking at statistically
hmm
the two best players that ever have guarded LeBron
hmm
and Jimmy Butler and Andre Iguodala. They're two of his toughest matchups statistically. Um, but at the same time, I want to say a dark horse, and it'll be Tyler Hero. Will have
hmm
his show out games, and he'll end up winning the Finals MVP if the Heat.
Bro, that would be wild if he won. I honestly would be. That I don't know. I don't. I think that would be crazy if Tyler Hero wins Finals MVP.
I
I don't know that that might be the most surprise Finals MVP I've ever like.
I completely agree.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. I want to go with a dark horse on it.
that is definitely a dark horse. But depending on how he plays, that could possibly happen.
Yeah. Um, moving on after the finals, obviously you've got the bubble still going on.
hmm
I don't know how much longer it'll go on. I think they're allowing all the players to just go to their homes and their families after. I
hmm
don't know the whole breakdown of it. Then you've got the draft coming up. I think it is October or November. I think it's
November.
November.
It's November.
Um, we've talked about it on the page who we think is going to be number one overall draft pick. We've talked about it on the show. Um, it really just depends. I know the Timberwolves have the number one draft pick, correct?
hmm
So who do you think they go with in that number one spot?
I'm stuck between because I wouldn't. It's definitely if it's since the number one pick went to the Timberwolves. I definitely don't think it's going to be Wiseman because they have Cat. So like, why would they kind of, you know what I mean? Kind of
Yeah,
defeats the purpose. So I would say it's either between. I would say I'm leaning more towards Lamelo Ball. I don't know why. I like D'Lo is nice, but you could probably there's probably a chance you could slide D'Lo to the two, man, because he's not really a like he's a point guard. But if you get Lamelo
yeah,
passing, you get Lamelo who actually passes. You get him passing, you get him moving, and he's 6'7", so like he's a large side guy. He's a large kid, you know what I mean.
yeah,
So if you get him passing, you get him moving, you get what's it called? You get D'Lo, you get Cat, you know. you get all your little pieces. You know, you might need to pick up another 3 man, but other than that, like you should be fine for that. They might be able to bounce back for the playoffs. They might be able to bounce back and be a playoff team next year.
Yeah. Even if they didn't want to move D'Lo, they could always go with Anthony Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
He plays the two well enough. I mean, he's not like best player in the freaking draft class, but
Mm-hmm.
obviously he's being projected to be the number one draft pick in some of these mock drafts that I'm looking at.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously he's got something if they think that he's going number one. But I agree with you. I could see LaMelo Ball there. I think it would honestly be good for him
Mm-hmm.
having that 1-2 punch with D'Angelo Russell. That front court would be dangerous, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're both pretty decent shooters. I'm not saying LaMelo is a really good shooter, but
But he can hit shots.
I'm
He's
not
not
saying
like a.
D'Angelo Russell's knocked down either, but he's got his moments.
Mhm. He can hit shots whenever LaMelo can hit shots in like the late moments whenever you're like, I need that point guard that's gonna be like, hey, like let me hit a shot to like put us over the edge, like
Yeah,
like I'm taking control. Let's take over. Like this game's over. You know what I mean?
right.
Well, I think they got Jared Culver too. So like I like he's also we can see that we can see next year it's like a little bit of step up year for him. You know, he's a bigger guard. You know that maybe he could fill into possibly a 3 man, a 3 position, a 3 role eventually later on. Like especially if he bulks up in the end of it, he could definitely be a 3 man. He's long, he's lanky, like he got the guard. He could definitely make that work. Probably, we just got to see what happens with him.
Yeah. LaMelo actually came out and said some words about it because obviously his dad is pitching him to be the Warriors and wants to be either wants him to be on the Warriors or doesn't want him to go there. And I'm not sure. I'm gonna open this up so I can read it some. But LaMelo came out and said that I am my own man.
Mm-hmm.
So he's willing to play anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I don't know how the Warriors will work. He must be just start shooting more. Then they must let him shoot more. He
yeah.
might just be
So
like,
LeVar said he doesn't want his son to go to Golden State because it might possibly be a bad fit. And LaMelo's exact words were, "Well, I'm my own man. He's his own man. He has his opinions, and I have mine. Like I said, I feel like I could play on any team and do good anywhere I go. So anything that happens, I'm positive."
that's how it is. It's not. He's like adult now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he owns the team that he played for in Australia. So
Yeah, honestly, like he's a grown man now. No matter like. But I wouldn't think the Warriors will work either. Like I don't know how they because you got Steph Curry. Like don't get me wrong, unless he's like a like because I'm pretty sure the Warriors will still have faith in Steph Curry for a couple more years. So I don't think
yeah.
they would be already planning a backup plan this early. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I would consider I wouldn't think the Warriors would be the best fit. So I think it's probably gonna be the Timberwolves, maybe even Cleveland, but like. I think more like the Timberwolves.
Well, Cleveland has the fifth pick.
Oh no!
So if they want anybody, they're either gonna have to make that trade upward if they're planning on getting somebody that they think is going early. Um, but yeah, we did mention Doc Rivers getting fired, and I just got a most recent notification that he was the piece that changed the 76ers coaching plans. Um, they were prepared to hire between Mike D'Antoni or Tyronn Lue. Um, I don't know why they would want to take Mike D'Antoni with a big man. I feel like everybody saw how that happened. They got rid of their big man and play no defense. 76ers are kind of a team that's built to play defense and score points. So Mike D'Antoni wouldn't make sense to me.
Not at all, honestly.
Tyronn Lue, I feel like he could be a decent fit for that team.
People thought like he would have a better connect, like he'll be a player's coach more likely and he might be able to like fit with them more in order to make the situation where people said I heard Mike D'Antoni to the Pacers.
Oh, don't do that.
Yeah,
Pacers have
that
too many good defensive players, and that would not be good.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. Like, it might be weird to say there might not be a place for Mike D'Antoni right now, or
No,
his
I
play style. There might not be a place for him right now, or he might be just like he might just be a choice that people just might have to make. Not like he's not like really like, oh my gosh, it's like Mike D'Antoni, you know?
you know where I actually think he could somewhat make a change
Mm-hmm.
is either Cleveland or Chicago. They've got players that can score
I
the.
thought, what's his name? I thought Billy Donovan's the coach of Chicago now.
Yeah, Billy Donovan is now to the Bulls, but I feel like Mike D'Antoni could have been a good fit there. I'm not saying Billy Donovan isn't,
Mm-hmm.
because Billy Donovan's a phenomenal coach. Like, I feel like he almost deserved Coach of the Year, taking
Mm-hmm.
Chris Paul, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, um, Dort, Steven Adams, and
Mm-hmm.
whoever the hell their fifth starter was.
And probably a few bad calls away from beating the Rockets, you
Yeah,
know.
they're like one semi-decent player away from beating the Rockets. There are a few bad calls away from beating the Rockets, like you said. I mean, Billy Donovan's going to be a hell of a coach in Chicago, and Chicago's
Mm-hmm.
got a good lineup for him.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
They're making. I like Chicago. They're honestly they're like honest. They're just a team that needs the right person to coach
yep,
it because you can't like they have so many like mixed pieces that you got to bring it together. Like so,
yep.
Chicago, you got to have the coach that's honestly like going to be able to fix. You got Wendell Carter, you got Lowry Markkinen, you got Zach Levine, you got you know what I mean. You
Mm-hmm.
got players and like you got hoopers, but like they don't really, and you got Kobe White. Like they don't really like play together. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they just play basketball. They don't really play like team
They
basketball, and
need
that's what they
they need
really
the
need.
coach, and they need one player that's going to glue them all together
Mm-hmm.
along with that coach.
Like a
Um,
veteran player that's gonna honestly like know and experience it, the like be able to like teach them. You know,
um, then Tyronn Lue. I mean,
Tyronn Lue to the Pelicans. Tyronn Lue to the
that
Pelicans.
actually wouldn't be bad either.
That would be
I
actually. I
actually
think.
kind of like that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, what about Nate McMillan? Now that we're on the coaching carousel,
I don't know. I think he should. I think he shouldn't have got fired. I think he got kind of got screwed, but that's just my personal
that's
opinion.
that's what I said whenever he got fired too. I don't think he deserved the firing, but everything happens, I guess, for a reason.
If not Tyronn Lue to the Pelicans, I would think it's probably Nate McMillan.
Nate McMillan's a good coach. He just had poor luck with freaking injuries
Health.
in the most
So
important times.
imagine if you gave him a good, and he made that work with poor help. He made it work before. So imagine if you gave him a whole bunch of pieces like the Pelicans have, and be like,
Yep.
here, we need you need you just to basically like can move the boat.
Who's the coach in Charlotte?
Uh, it was Steve Clifford, right?
I think
Or
so. Because if it's somebody not worth mentioning, I feel like somebody that's been fired should go there. Their head coach is James Borrego. Who the hell?
I thought he's new. I think I heard about him before.
He's been their head coach since 2018. So
Wow.
he was their coach whenever Kemba was still there, right? That's 2019 was when Kemba was traded to the Celtics,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, yeah, Nate McMillan to Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
Really anyone to Charlotte. I don't know who the hell James Borrego is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what other coaching changes have there been? Oh, Steve Nash. Speaking
Mm-hmm.
of big
Steve
injuries
Nash.
and health and important positions, the freaking Nets, dude. They had so
Mm-hmm.
many injuries that their freaking injury lineup. Hold on, I saw something that was pretty much saying the players that were injured are a playoff team alone. And kind of agree. Brooklyn Nets. Kyrie Irving injured. Kevin Durant injured. Jamal Crawford injured. Um, who else had been missing for a while there? Spencer Dinwiddie was hurt for a little bit.
Mhm.
Karis LeVert had been playing, but he's kind of that number 2 guy that needs someone to
Yeah,
help
he's not really like he's not number one.
him.
It'll be a little bit
Oh,
before you ever
DeAndre
look.
Jordan was the center that was
Yeah,
missing for a lot of time with them.
because
Um,
Jared Allen was playing a lot.
yeah. So I mean, if you give them good health on their roster that whole season, I feel like they take over that 8th spot in the East, maybe.
I think I think the reason why I think I kind of figured out the reason why they picked Steve Nash as your coach, because I think the reason why they picked Steve Nash is because people are gonna listen to him. Like this is just like
Oh,
that's just what they're gonna do. Like they got all the personalities. They just need someone they're gonna listen to, and he's probably the best person they can find that they have because the Steve Nash. He's respected among the league. They're gonna like listen to what he says. So they're gonna really lock into what he says and be like, hey, let's play basketball. Because honestly, like I said, they could we could be talking about the Brooklyn Nets this time next year. Who knows? Like
100%.
100%. Like because they could be taking over the entire East. Because don't get me wrong, I like Miami going to next year too. But like if KD comes back and he's like anywhere near. Like if KD comes back even 80, like even 70%, he's still going to dominate. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
100%.
like honestly, like don't get me wrong, Miami's nice, but like Kevin Durant's still Kevin Durant. Like
Yeah, he's gonna get his,
he's gonna get his buckets, honestly.
and Kyrie's gonna get his if he's got that superstar beside him. We saw
DeAndre
that when he
Jordan,
was in freaking.
Jared, Jared Allen getting Jared Allen playing a bigger role. That's going to help out. Careless Levert balling out in the playoffs, like that's going to help. Like they're going to be. I honestly think they're going to be the most. If they stay healthy, that's the only question. If they can stay healthy and KD comes back to like anywhere near to what the KD we saw before his injury, then that honestly, that's their division. That's honestly their
Yeah,
conference to
it's
lose. Like
their yep.
then.
Yeah, and like I said, Karis LeVert, if he's got that whole lineup alongside of him, he's gonna put up his numbers.
Mm-hmm,
I'm tired of people disrespecting Karis LeVert.
mm-hmm,
Like his college career should have shown you that he was gonna be a scorer. Like
mm-hmm.
I'm not saying, oh my God, everybody needs to bow down before Karis LeVert,
No. He
but
has he balled out at Michigan. Like I liked him because he was just. I think he was right after Trey Burke and them left. So
yep,
I'm like, so like right after they left, you're like, who's there? And like he started. What I mean, started doing. He can hit shots. He can score. He attacks the rim. Like he literally. Like I feel like maybe even playing around Kevin Durant, maybe just like their presence just makes him like his boost his confidence. So he's gonna hit. He's gonna hit more shots. He's
yeah.
he's going to honestly be a good role player that's eventually going to have a bigger role in the team, probably in the playoffs.
Yeah, so at Michigan, his senior year, like I said, I'm not saying by any means that we should bow down to him and say he's the next freaking reincarnation of Christ, but he shot 50% he averaged 50% on the season shooting from the floor.
Mm-hmm.
He shot 55% from 2 and 45% from 3 as a single player.
Dang.
He shot 80% from the free throw line.
Mm-hmm.
He averaged 5 assists, 1 steal, 5 rebounds, and 16 and a half points a game. So, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
people should have at least respected him. Again, I'm not saying, holy cow, he's
Yeah, I know what you mean,
like,
man.
but come on, the Nets,
Mm-hmm.
if they can stay 100% healthy and KD's even 90% health,
If KD's 90%, they're taking that conference. Like
yeah, it's gonna be
there's
a good
nobody.
coin flip.
Don't get me wrong. Like Miami, Giannis. Even I don't even know if Giannis is coming back to the East or either. Even if he stays in the East, like I'm not really like worried about him either. Like I'm like who like they're going to run through. They're going to run through, and honestly, like they can make some. They can even they can make some noise in the finals. Who knows?
Yeah,
We just got to see.
I mean, yeah, if that's the whole reason they sat him this year, anyways, at the beginning of the season, because they said he was like 85% health
Mm-hmm.
whenever the season started, and they sat him, and then obviously March came around and blah blah blah, so forth and so
Mm-hmm.
on. We know what happened. Um, but then Kyrie in the bubble said that we shouldn't have played, and obviously it might be taken as he didn't think they could make the playoffs, so he didn't want to play anyways. But at full strength, that team in Miami will be a really good coin flip between who
Mm-hmm.
takes the East, and even the Celtics will still have that shot
Mm-hmm.
if they can afford all their players to stay there. It's going to be
Mm-hmm.
really dangerous for them.
Mm-hmm.
Is
They
there
still
anything?
got they just recently signed Jaylen Brown, so he's so good. You still got to worry. I think you got to worry about Jason Tatum. I don't know when it is. I'm not 100% sure if it's this year or next year is
Let's
whenever
find
his
out.
contract's up. But you just gotta see because like the East is definitely gonna be deeper. It's gonna be definitely. I feel like the game. I feel like the level of play on the East is gonna be definitely have to be stepped up. And even if Philly might come back, depending on what Philly does. Who knows what Philly does? If Ben Simmons comes back shooting threes, you don't know. Like if he's
Yeah, because
doing that,
if they get Doc Rivers, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, even if
yeah.
Ben Simmons isn't hitting the threes that he needs to.
Yeah, if you get one more pieces, if Tobias Harris plays, you don't.
Yep.
No, even Richardson towards the end of it was going off. You know what I mean? Like he was going off even Richardson was going off towards the end of this. Towards the end of the playoffs. So you don't know. I'm not sleeping Philly either. It's going to be a lot of good teams. I think the East is going to be a lot more better. There's going to be a lot more better teams. Even
Yep.
Toronto, like Toronto's coming back. Kyle Lowry's coming back. Oh, they're coming back. I'm pretty sure they're gonna have a chip on their shoulder by
Oh
like
yeah.
they're gonna be scary. So not even Toronto's coming back. So the East, honestly, is gonna load up. I'm not gonna say the East is better than the West, but I'm saying they're gonna be a lot better. They're gonna be better than. I want to say they might be. This might be the most in depth East side you might have seen in years. Probably since LeBron and Miami is back in the Celtics and all of them, and Paul
Yep.
George is on Pacers, all that back then. You know what I mean?
So as of right now, Jason Tatum has 2 seasons left on his contract.
Hmm.
So after this next season, they can extend him if they
Hmm.
wanted. Well, during the
All
season, I
right.
guess they could.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Um, One more carousel move that I'm going to ask your opinion on. Um, Say the Lakers don't win this. Um, do you think they try and make the move to sign Anthony Davis long term, or um, do you think that he denies it and tries to move somewhere else? And if he does, where?
I I think he's personally going to stay. I think he just needed to. I don't know if he needed to win the finals, but I know he needed probably instant security to make it at least.
Right.
Because in Bros, it's just like it's LeBron James. He'll be back. You know what I mean? Especially some more added pieces or whatever. But
Mm,
like, I feel like they have to. I feel like the Lakers had to find a way to make them save because if you don't, then you kind of just like that trade was kind of like for nothing
waste.
almost.
Yeah.
Because if you have no championship and no AD, then like what did you really get out of that trade?
Right.
Nothing. Like if you really think about it, you lost. You gave away a whole bunch. You basically it's a loss. You lost all those draft picks. You lost all those pros. You lost all those young players. So honestly, and you got left with Kuzma at the end of it. Like
Of all of the
out
players.
of all the players, you got left with Kuzma. Like so, like if you really think about it, like this has to be a make or break because if they lose and AD leaves, then honestly they did that trade for nothing.
Yep. If if he were to go somewhere, I don't think he will. I think
I
he'll
don't
stay
think it
just like
will.
you said. If he
So,
were to go somewhere,
hmm
I'm saying it'll be Chicago, just because that's where he's
hmm
from and that's where.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's what people. I've been seeing a little bit of like posts about that, but
But
that's the only place I would think if he left.
let's see, what are the other rumors on Anthony Davis? Anthony Davis free agency rumors. Let's hear. Declare their intentions. Blah 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 blah. Oh, it's not even saying. That's lame. Davis has a few options at his disposal as he could trigger a $28.7 million player option for the 2020 season and then become a free agent in 2021 or agree to a long-term contract. Yeah, even this is saying the best case scenario is for them to lock him down this summer. And yeah,
come back ready to roll again. Like they will have nothing. Once they get that, if they get even if they win or lose, if they get 80 locked around, and then it's kind of like, all right, cool, we'll be back. You know what I mean?
yeah. Okay, let's see this one last thing before we go. Where do the Lakers pick this year?
They'll probably be towards the end.
They are the 28th pick in the draft. So now we do this. Draft. Who do people think they're going to get at 28? Obviously, this is just a mock draft. People could be drastically wrong, but I'm going to find out what the thought is at least. So at 28, this mock draft, I'm looking on NBC Sports mock draft. They have the Los Angeles Lakers taking Alexei Pokasevsky. He's a center from Serbia. He's 7 foot, 200 pounds. He's 18 years old.
That would be crazy because if he's an actual center, then you don't have to really put AD there because you can.
It says LA is one of the better teams in the league. They have star power and an ability to draw veteran players at below market value in free agency due to LeBron James and Anthony Davis. That is true. They could use a few additional shooters, but this is a prime pick to be traded. Why Pokasevsky? It says he's a smooth shooting 7-footer with a 7'3" wingspan, but there are questions about his toughness. LA doesn't need a young player getting in the way. They need roster space for veterans that are lining up to try and win a championship in LeBron's last 2 seasons. Lakers could stash said 18-year-old overseas and hope he becomes a player down the road. Okay. So they're pretty much drafting an 18-year-old Kristaps Porzingis with the risk of him being either really bad or that good. I completely agree. Everybody knows that LeBron's good at getting veteran players for below market price. They've done it already. They got Dion Waiters, J.R. Smith, Dwight Howard, JaVale. So they could just look to free agency and trade that draft pick and hope for the best, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I don't see that being a pick that's worth it. You don't need a 7-foot center when you got 6'11" Anthony Davis, who pretty much does it all.
Yeah, you don't really need a center at all.
But yeah, so now that we've done all this, one last thing before I get off. I'll always plug this every show. Our shirts, Loudmouth Sports Talk. bombshellbowling.com/Loudmouth Sports Talk. Our shirts are $20. We also have hoodies. They're blue hoodies, the navy blue. The words here are orange and Sports Talk is white. They're nice hoodies, nice shirts, very comfortable.
Get them ready for the winter.
It is coming up fall and winter up in PA. Obviously, the seasons are the same down in Florida, but we have like a week of cold. So make sure you go and buy those. It supports us a lot. It also supports Miss Michelle. She's been really helpful and a really great person helping us out with this. So yeah, that's pretty much it this week. I apologize again that it happened on Wednesday instead of Mondays. I will shout out our schedule once again. I'm normally here Monday nights at 8:30. Me and Isaiah will probably do a lot of shows together. Tuesday nights, it's kind of empty because every sport is going on and we all have our personal shows to talk about stuff. Wednesday nights are normally our football show with George and Courtney, Into the Trenches. They've been doing a really hell of a job. Football season's been interesting, to say the least. Also, Sundays we kind of do our little own shows, and Sunday morning pick'ems. We talk about games coming up that week. Ahead of the curve, that is Robbie Phillips, baseball talk. If you couldn't figure that out, MLB playoffs are going on right now as well. They just started recently. It's looking
Don't
pretty.
get me started about them Yankees, boys.
I'll let you talk about that
Them
one, Robbie.
Yankees, swear.
Get you right here. Friday, our show with Rob, Mucking and Grinding, our hockey talk.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, so real quick, I got some big news to tell you.
Okay.
I'm
So,
listening.
on behalf of me and George, we would like to officially welcome Isaiah Dean to the Loudmouth crew once again, where he belongs. This show was awesome. It was great. And George and I decided that Isaiah is going to be a part of us where he belongs. So I'm excited to tell y'all, and I wanted to let y'all know before the
Thank
year
you.
ended. So
Thank you.
congratulations, man. Keep working
Thank you.
hard. We appreciate you. It's all love. I hopped
Thank
on real
you,
quick.
man.
I'm
I like the white tee in the chain, man. I like the white tee in the
Hey,
chain,
what's
man.
up?
Before you go, before we all go, because the show is pretty much over, let's hear your prediction. Who wins the series? Who wins Finals MVP?
So I was going to say, I always say Lakers in 5 because LeBron usually, first game, he usually fill you out, don't really care about it. But if he wins game 1, it's a rapid doodle. You know?
Oh, you're saying
The
sweet.
Heat might get
Oh,
swept.
God.
The Heat might get swept. So I'm going to go with Lakers in 5 because I respect Tyler Hero. That's my man. Finals MVP, I'm gonna give it. I think Braun doesn't care enough. Like I think he's okay with AD winning Finals.
Yeah,
MVP
that's what I mean. Like, I don't think it's like that big of a
But,
really reason
I mean,
important.
Braun's still looking like the most valuable player. So I mean, it could go either way.
Easily.
They could be co-Finals MVPs. I think it's gonna be like Shaq and Kobe. So I think they'll be co-Finals MVPs. And yeah, there's just no way. Like that first quarter, they threw everything they had at them, and then in the second quarter, it was a 30-point turnaround. They went from up 13 to down 13.
Yeah.
And they Jimmy Butler might be hurt. So
he's playing right now.
LeBron. I've been saying it. Look, y'all remember when Dane Call's game first started, and I was like, listen, if the Mavericks stayed healthy, they would have beat the Clippers. The Clippers wasn't.
Bro, facts. I said the same thing, bro. I was like, if they would help beat them, bro, they would have beat the bricks out of them. They would have beat them. Bro. They would have probably beat the Nuggets. They would honestly.
Remember, I told you that was the Lakers' hardest matchup because Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis is just nasty. So, yeah, man, that's my prediction. Again, congratulations, Zay.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Y'all ain't even expect it.
Pop up like that.
Pop up like that, no.
Sorry, pops up.
Congratulations, dog.
Thank you, appreciate it. Very appreciate it. Appreciate you and George always.
Look at how dark you can tell I've been in the sun. You see these?
Yeah, it's all that football coaching.
I know.
Swear, bro.
Shout
out to Penn Hills Indians. You know what I mean? Shout out Penn Hills Indians. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna go ahead and finish shouting out our shows, and then.
All right, guys, my bad.
We're out here. No, you're good. You're good.
I appreciate it.
But it's no longer. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get a new name for Dane Call's game because we gotta bring. But all right, guys, I'll see y'all. Y'all have a good night.
I appreciate it.
Hey, here, funny story, real quick. I almost hit end broadcast like I do every time.
Don't do that. I'll kill you.
Broadcast. I'll be forgetting. All right, see you guys.
See you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, where were we at? Oh yeah, hockey talk with Rob, Mucking and Grinding. NHL finals just ended. Tampa Bay Lightning against everyone's liking. They won the Stanley Cup. They did it against the Dallas Stars. I hate to say it because I really dislike Tampa, but hey, had to happen. Saturdays, it says 6 p.m. I think they kind of just go live right around then, 5:30, 6:30.
Luch and Sean.
That is Luciano and Sean. They talk our wrestling show.
All your WWE needs.
This Saturday apparently is supposed to be one hell of a show. They're doing another one of those promo episodes. So if you want to join, put yourself together a wrestling promotion and hit them up. Obviously, we've got our Facebook group, and you just have to mention them, say you want to join. They'll, I guess, like message you privately and fix you up a segment on the show. But yeah, that's all of us. As you heard from our show here first, Isaiah is now back in the group. So welcome back.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's the show today. Thank you everybody for tuning in. All
Appreciate everyone.
8 of y'all. I don't know how many stayed watching. But yeah, thank you. I'll see you again on Monday nights, 8:30. Yeah. Once again, love you. Peace out.
Peace out.